Yaakov? He's supposed to collect the books.
He passed them out very well.
Yes, falling down on his duty. Yaakov, collect all the books. You're,
Thank you, Dad.
By the way, we have snacks on the back table. We have drinks on in the corner there. Before we sit down for the next 7 hours, I mean, I think you might want to eat or drink. I mean, that's well, actually, with the Rebbe, when the Rebbe would Farbrengen, when the Rebbe would have his gatherings, they would be starting at 9:30 at night. And they would go till about 2, 3 in the morning. So we're starting earlier. We're starting at 7. This is in California, by the way. When the Rebbe would Farbrengen, it would be 6:30 in California. So for us, it was a piece of cake. It's only goes till 1 o'clock in the morning, not at 4 o'clock in the morning. So exactly. Yes, absolutely. So if you want to help yourselves, please help yourself. Okay, I guess you want to help yourself. It's fine.
Feel free to get up at any point.
Feel free to get up at any point. You know, it's
ready to start.
She's coming here. Yeah.
Exactly. Right there.
You don't mind snoring after about 10:30?
I might be snoring. So how many here have actually purchased the book? And how many have read the book?
7%.
Excellent. Fabulous. Fabulous. I understand this is causing a lot of friction in couples. You know, because one spouse has the book and they're fighting over the book. You know, it's like, I recommend buying 2 for the house. That's what we did. We got 2 for the house.
Upstairs and downstairs.
So how's everybody enjoying the book?
Immensely. Wonderful. Easy to read.
Easy to read? Excellent. Yeah, it's really, I was very excited to read the book, and I learned so much from the book. I thought it would be really great if we could all sit together and kind of discuss it. And so that's what we're going to do here tonight. And if we hear from you, we'll do a short presentation about the book or about the Rebbe, about our personal stories. Because how many of you here actually met the Rebbe? Anybody here actually met the Rebbe? Okay, my mother-in-law. I want to welcome my mother-in-law who's here. I figure. So for everyone here, other than the 3 of us, meeting the Rebbe is through either video, through the book, and in many ways, you get to know the Rebbe more intimately that way. But we had the opportunity of actually seeing and interacting with the Rebbe. And so I thought we would start off this evening hearing from Bassie, her reflections on reading the book after having lived. I didn't live in Crown Heights. I was born in Crown Heights. We were both born in the same hospital, delivered by the same doctor, right?
Dr. Diamond.
Dr. Diamond, yeah, the same doctor. We were a few years apart, but same hospital. The hospital, our first date that we went on, we left from the corner of that hospital. It's no longer a hospital, now it's one of the largest Jewish girls' schools, all girls' schools, 100,000 square foot building on the corner there, and Bassie and her family live right around the corner. So I picked her up right around the corner, and that was, we kind of got started there, and we met there. So, but when I was less than a year old, my parents moved to Miami Beach, Florida, to start the Rebbe's work. The Rebbe encouraged the opening of a school in Miami Beach, Florida, and my parents went out there to help sustain the school by teaching there. And just to tell you how things had changed so much in Florida, I remember, I was probably 7 or 8 years old, I remember when the first kosher store opened in Miami Beach. Now, there was a kosher butcher, there was a kosher bakery, but there was no such thing as a kosher store where you went to get all the other things. So you had to go to Publix or to the regular supermarket. We actually got a shipment. Once a month, a truck would come from New York and would have all of the meat, chicken, cheese, things like that, all the perishables. And many times these refrigerated trucks, the refrigerator wasn't working. So by the time the milk got there, the milk was already going. And I just remember my mother, at that time in history, doctors thought that it was really good for you to drink milk. And I remember, where's the chocolate? Give me the chocolate fast. I actually have a strong aversion to milk because much of the milk that I drank was, no, it was turning into cottage cheese or something. I don't know. It certainly wasn't milk anymore. And but then this store opened up, and it was called Everything's Kosher. Right around the corner, right near our house, and I could walk there, and it was just. I remember walking in there and going, "Kosher food, this is crazy. This is wild, candies and all sorts of things." So, but I did not grow up in Crown Heights, although we visited a few times a year. We drove from Florida to New York. We did a lot of these road trips, which I have wonderful memories from. I didn't have the opportunity of growing up in Crown Heights, so I thought we'd start with Bassie to share her experience actually growing up in Crown Heights and her reflections on the book, some stories, and I'll share what I have to share.
I can't see about Chabad. Gotta move.
Oh, you're gonna sit?
Should I stand?
Yeah, stand up.
You don't have to stay.
You need a stage otherwise.
Okay. Anyways, it'd just be a couple of minutes. I just thought I'd share. It was interesting. You were just talking about the Fabringans that would start at 9:30. I was a little kid. I was in elementary school at the time, and I remember I was in, literally all my elementary school year. All those years, the Rebbe was having Fabringans every so often for special occasions at 9:30, and it was like a big party. We were just kids. So we didn't understand then what I would know today as an adult, to appreciate what holiness really is and what greatness really is. Like as a kid, all day in school, who's going? Who am I going to sit near? How much money are you going to bring? Because they would have, outside of 770, they had these little shops, the store called S and Bench. They would have long lines, and they would sell hot dogs and French fries and candy, and so when there was a break, when the Rebbe would stop speaking, there was singing going on, whatever, people would go out for a few minutes, and us kids would hang out outside, probably more than inside, partying and hanging out with our friends until midnight. It was like one big party. So, I remember buying choo-choos online, and it was just and the next day, for us it was just hang out. By the way, the Rebbe's speaking, But as I got older, I think when I got to high school, I started gaining more of an appreciation to the greatness. And even then, it's nothing nearly the way I feel about the Rebbe today. But when I got to high school, the Rebbe would speak every Saturday, every Shabbat. Services were probably over by 12:30, and at 1:30, everyone would go home, quickly have lunch, and 1:30 the Rebbe would come, you would gather again, and the Rebbe would speak for hours again, singing in the middle, and it would again be, I had my route, I'd go up Kingston Avenue, which is the main avenue, pick up my friends, and we'd go and we'd sit together. But at that point already in high school, I think I appreciated the Rebbe a little bit more, and I wouldn't be talking through the whole thing, I would be listening and, really trying to take in this awesome experience. Oh my gosh, if I think about the holidays, the high holidays and Simchas Torah in 770, it's like the electricity, the power in this synagogue was unbelievable. I never experienced anything like it. I don't think I will ever be able to experience anything like that, because it was just amazing. The amount of people and the electricity in the room of just joy and that spirit, you can feel that energy. After the Rebbe would speak, there would be singing. And all the Rebbe had to do was lift his hand, and the whole place would be flying. Lift two hands, people were flying from the ceiling. I mean, it was really something like, you just think that you can, hear in the books, that you never really experience these kind of things. Maybe you see something like it in a movie or read about it in a book, but like it was just, so growing up, it was always just, so I have these memories on Sukkot. We would get at the Rebbe, the last day of Sukkot, we got to make a special blessing, the bracha on the lulav and esrog, on the Rebbe's. The last day he let everybody in the community use his, because it was very special. So the night before we would get like numbers, and there'd be long lines, hours, just to have this opportunity. And these are just, a couple of my thoughts, just memories as I think about it. Yeah.
Whenever I watch the videos, I see only men in black suits. Are the women in a different section, you just don't see them, or?
Yes. The women they kept expanding and expanding and expanding because the community kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it started with one shul, then it went to two, then it went to three, then it went to a fourth, all kind of surrounding. It was like a balcony basically all around. But the Rebbe was very unique, as you read in the book, if you did read the book, but if you didn't, I think the Rebbe was very unique in the way he respected and admired women so much. Probably the first Jewish leader that took so much time, and he cleared out the whole synagogue. So several times a year, he would speak just for women. And he would want to spend time just with the women because the Rebbe really believed that it was the Jewish women that had all the power for Judaism to flourish and to continue and to, women are, we are, whether we like it or not, every greatness comes along with responsibility, but we are really the foundation of the homes. We set the tone for our whole families, for the surroundings around us. We have so much power, and the Rebbe understood that and nurtured that. And really, you can feel so much respect towards women from the Rebbe. It was many times throughout the year, just women. The whole part, all the that whole part was just women. And the men had us, and wanted to spend time with each woman, having every woman come by so we can give them a blessing with either a gift or a book or a dollar or something special. So it was very, you definitely felt the love. When I was a little kid, like in first grade, I remember the Rebbe would do special rallies just for children several times throughout the year. So my school would go, and the whole downstairs, the big main synagogue was just filled with children. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of children. And I remember, that was just something we did from school. We would go, and our teachers, how would they keep us inspired to sit there quietly while the Rebbe spoke? They would give us paper and pen, and we would write notes. Even if we didn't understand Yiddish, or we would just, whatever you can, we would just write notes the whole time, and we got points for that. And then there would be treats. The Rebbe always made sure between his talks there was always treats for the children. I remember we used to get peanut chews and special drinks that we didn't normally get. So the Rebbe was really, he knew where it's at. Children, the women, he knew everybody, he respected everybody across the board and gave everybody what they needed. Anyway, reading the book, I'll just share, I don't know how you felt about it, but I have not been able to get through the book yet because every time I pick it up, I've been so taken. I was kind of surprised at myself at how this book affected me, but I've been so taken by this book. Like I could only read a few pages and I have to put it down because I have to take it in. Like there's so much in the book. There's so much between the lines, written between the lines, I feel, that to truly experience what we're reading, at least for me, when I'm reading, I feel like even though I want to, I have to stop because it literally, the way I described it to Zalman was, it's taking my breath away. Like I feel like after a few pages, I just have to stop reading for a few minutes, just to take it all in so I can continue because it's so mind-blowing reading this. And I grew up with the Rebbe, and I grew up with him as, a role model, a tremendous role model in my life, but reading it's just as an adult. Now I'm, a little bit more experienced with life and with family and, all the work that we do here at Chabad, so I get it a little bit more, and I think it's the kind of book that well, you could read it now and then again in a year or two, and each time you'll get something different, because as we grow, we'll appreciate it even more and more. It's that kind of book, but it's just totally, that's why I haven't been able to get through the book, but I keep feeling, and I don't know about you, but I keep, as I'm reading it, I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, like I haven't even gotten started. Like we haven't gotten started with what the Rebbe really wants us to do. Like our work is cut out for us. Like I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing a good enough job. I have to do more. I have to do so much more. Like we just scratched the surface as to what we should be doing, and really making a bigger difference in the world and helping more people and doing whatever we can to just keep doing more. And that's really, like, for me, like been an underlying thread as I'm reading it, that it just kind of, I just keep feeling like more and more that like our work has just begun. Like, you know, the Rebbe, in the anecdotes and in all the stories that, you know, you read in the book, that's just how I've been feeling a lot about this book. So I'm excited to keep reading it and just taking it in, and it's just been an unbelievable, it's been more of an emotional experience than I thought it would be for me. And that's, I think, why it's taking me so long to get through the book, you know. One quick story. When I was in high school, I told this story once. Some of you may have heard it, but it's just a, you know, I was lucky enough, in the book you read about the dollars the Rebbe would give out on Sundays, famous stories. Many people have heard about it, and if not, you've read it in the book. If not, you've probably heard about it at some point. So, you know, I was lucky enough, my father and my parents really respected the Rebbe so much that as a kid, they never wanted us, because some of my friends would go often to go get a blessing. Why not? Sunday afternoon, go get a blessing. You know, everybody needs blessings, so why not, you know? My parents didn't encourage that. We only were allowed to go in our family, you know, before a very special occasion, because the Rebbe's time was very precious, and they didn't want us to take up the Rebbe's precious time just for fun or just as an activity to keep ourselves busy. We usually just went for our birthdays, or if it was a very special day or something, you know, really extraordinary. But we once, and of course, when we came home, we would save that. I have an envelope of dollars that I received over the years from the Rebbe, each one with a blessing. And when we came home, we wouldn't use that dollar spend. We would give another dollar to charity or more, and we would write the date that we got it and save it as a special. So I have an envelope with these dollars. One time there was this, I just want to share this one story, and I was in high school, and this group from Jacksonville, Florida, was coming to New York to experience Jewish New York. You know, just how they do Birthright for Jewish teens to go and experience life in Israel. So they do these trips, the Jewish federations across the U.S., they would do these trips and have just Jewish teens who weren't observant at all have an experience, because there's nothing like Jewish New York, you know? So they would set up an itinerary for a week, and they would send these teens. I think we were like probably either juniors or seniors in high school, later on in the high school years. And so they sent this group to New York, and whoever organized the trip planned that this group will stay in Crown Heights for Shabbos, so they could experience meeting the Rebbe and just experience what, you know, so they were going to different Jewish communities every day of the week, and Shabbos they were going to be in Crown Heights. So I was in school, and I guess my principal walked in and said, there's this group from, I don't even know how I heard about it, this group from Jacksonville, Florida, who would like to host these girls in your home. So of course, my hand went up. And my parents were very kind, because they always let me, you know, invite people to their home. It was always a very open home. Our Shabbos table, we always had tons of girls, because we were a family of 5 girls. I'm the middle of 5 girls, and my parents, their home was always very open, and we always were able to invite all our friends who lived out of town and, you know, weren't from Crown Heights to our home for Shabbat. So our table was always full of a lot of girls yapping away, and my father was very patient with all of the women around the table. So anyway, I offered to host one of the girls. Her name was Rebecca, and so I didn't know what I was in for. I had no idea. Here I am, a Brooklyn kid. At the time, probably never left Crown Heights, and here this girl, Rebecca, from Jacksonville, Florida, who's completely non-observant, lands up in my home, and she took the opportunity Friday night, where, you know, after dinner, we're sitting in, you know, we're probably was Friday and Saturday night. I think they left maybe Sunday night. So it felt like a long weekend because it was very intense. She had a million questions. All the questions that you heard, that you read about, and you know. So she started very, you know, kind of easy, and then she went into the good stuff, you know, like, what is it about that hole in the sheet, and, you know, she started, here I am, this kid, you know, and I'm a kid myself, you know, what do I know myself, you know, and she's asking me, is it true this, is it true, she didn't spare any details, and we were up till literally hours and hours and hours just talking and talking and talking. We had an amazing time, really connected. Her mother's in a very famous symphony, and she's very musical, and very, you know, really cool, very hippie, you know, long hair, like very, you know, that kind of girl. Anyway, so we had an amazing experience. Shabbos, I took her and all the kids. A few of my friends were hosting, so all of us met up, and we went to the Rebbe's Fabringen, and we had parties every night, you know, at this one's house and that one's house. She really got to experience what community is like, the closeness that we all had. That was just really, you know, amazing to her. And anyway, Sunday, so Shabbos at the Fabringen, the Rebbe was extremely happy. It was very joyous. Everybody was, and the Rebbe, there was a beautiful song, a niggin, that they sang that was amazing. I still can hear it ringing in my ears till today. And the Rebbe actually not only went with both hands, but he stood up. And when the Rebbe stood up, you know, it became even livelier, as you can imagine. It was like, you know, it was very just exciting. Anyway, so since she was so musical, she really took to that and really spoke to her soul. This niggin spoke to her soul. Because, you know, no matter what it is, it doesn't matter. You know, we believe a Jew is a Jew. We all have that special spark, that special soul inside of us. It doesn't matter whether we grow up in a family that observes kosher and Shabbat or we grow up in a family that doesn't. It doesn't matter. We're all the same. We all have that special spark of God inside of us. And we're all equally wonderful. And we're from one family. There's no differences between us. You know, it's just habits. What family are you from? Where did God put you? It's all by divine providence. It doesn't make one person better than another. So she this really spoke to her. And Saturday night when my father was getting ready to make Havdalah, Rebecca, he was laughing so hard, I'll never forget, Rebecca came prancing down the hallway. In New York, the houses are like this. They're very thin and, you know, long. She came from the bedroom to the kitchen down this hallway, and she's singing that song and jumping up and down, and she couldn't stop. It was just electrifying to her. She just couldn't stop. And she went home. She sent me a tape that, I'm dating myself here. She sent me a tape of her playing that niggin, that song, with the background, you know, with her violin and her music, and I still have it. Anyway, it's really funny. But she was really taken by the whole experience. Sunday we went for dollars. This is what I wanted to share with you. We went for dollars, and there was a whole bunch of teens. You know, what did they were like, yeah. You say he's really special. Let's see. We're gonna test it. I'm really, God, they're gonna really embarrass us. Me and my friends were really like scared to take them, but they were all like, let's see if he really is so special like you're saying. It can't be, you know. So we're going for dollars, and one of the girls, they didn't tell us what they were going to do, but we heard them talking, and they were like, yeah, let's see. Anyway, so she goes, and she decides she's going to, I don't even remember what language it was, but it was something really, like, it wasn't like French, or I don't know, I don't remember what the language was, but she decided she's going to go by the Rebbe and speak in this language that she knows just to see if he's going to understand her. And so she did that, and the Rebbe just, without skipping a beat, just answered her very perfectly in the language, you know, she spoke, and she was like totally blown away. We have pictures, that, you know, from that day with the girls. It was quite an experience, you know, and it was cute to see their reactions after. They were all taken by their moment with the Rebbe, and they, you know, they understood for themselves after experiencing that this wasn't just your average rabbi. This was somebody who really cared in a different kind of way. Very special. I had another story I wanted to share, but I think I'm going to ask my mother to share this story because this is an amazing story that happened with my mother, also with the dollars on Sunday. And I please have a picture that my mother will show you after about the story. Oh, it was on $1.
Sometimes we only have $1, other times also. Okay, so a friend of mine,
Get everybody can see you.
friend of mine she was there by when the Rebbe was giving out, they were giving out the dollars. And she had recently lost a son. He was unfortunately murdered. She was very upset naturally about that. And when she was sitting Shiva, whatever, so I went to her and asked her, what can I do for her? You know, she had a refrigerator full of meals that people were bringing her. So she said she would like to learn something, like learn kindness. She felt it would give her some strength. Okay, that was first. It was about 30 years ago. Okay, so she was by the this day. It was a fast day and I wasn't feeling well. I didn't go, but she went and she got a dollar. She was thinking, she wishes that I could be there because she had this strong connection, but she took the dollar, she brought it home.
And her strong connection was through the phone conversation that you were studying with.
We were learning Tanya on the phone. So the dollar fell on the floor, and whoever looks at numbers on dollars, she picked it up. She was shocked to see the number, what's it called, the serial number on the dollar was my phone number.
Like what is that? One in a... So anyway, there's the dollar. And 778-6463. This is the dollar she got. So she gave my mother the dollar framed in a frame.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, as a gift. Say thank you.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the main thing that you can't make for her, you know, it's just
It is what
No,
it
he was giving it away.
we felt like Hashem was giving us like a pat on the back, like we continue. It's okay.
And until today, even though my mother is here, she still learns with her every single day. They take it very seriously. It's been a real comfort to her. Thank you, Mom.
My pleasure.
Will the dollar bill get around? Everybody can see it.
We're stretching the dollar.
Yes. Yeah, the Rebbe would say if there's an old Hasidic saying that when two people come together, it should benefit a third person.
What?
It should benefit a third person. If two people come together, it should benefit a third person. So we would give a dollar. The Rebbe gave a crisp, brand new dollar. He wouldn't give any used dollars. It was all brand new. By the way, try going to the bank and getting new dollar bills. They only have them in December. They don't have them very often. And so the Rebbe had, every week, the estimates that I'm seeing are between $6,000 and $7,000 a Sunday.
Wow.
Each time. And that was every single week, so figure out how much is that a year? 52 weeks in a year? A couple of dollars. A couple of dollars. And that was only on Sundays. The Rebbe would, as my mother-in-law mentioned, on every time the Rebbe spoke, whenever there was for bringing in, it was a weekday, the Rebbe would give out dollars in that. So every opportunity the Rebbe was giving out dollars. Bassie mentioned the Rebbe loved children, and the Rebbe kept in his pocket huge amounts of nickels. And whenever he would see a child, he would go over to the child and give you a nickel. And then he would wait to see you put it in the pushka. So we had to be very quick. They would give us the nickel, quickly switch it, and put the other one in because we wanted to keep the one that the Rebbe gave you. So you always came with nickels in your pocket, and this way you would keep the nickel, and you'd put a different one in. But it was just a very special thing that the Rebbe was just, whenever we saw a child, just walk over, give you a nickel. Don't put it in the, go put it in the pushka. Looks like Kenya is not so happy. So, it's really wonderful, I must say, when Bassie and I first moved here to Mission Viejo, we had a meeting in somebody's house. It's like our welcoming here, we wanted to get to know the community. And I remember we had some very interesting encounters. And this particular encounter, someone was thinking about sending their child to some of our educational programs, and she said, "But you're not going to talk about the Rebbe, will you?" And we said, "No, we wouldn't be doing any of that. We'll just keep absolutely quiet." And that was the kind of the feeling that we got, coming here was like, you're very nice and wonderful, but keep the Rebbe out. Don't be too religious. Don't be too into anything, and don't push it on us, that's for sure. I remember that same person said that, prayer should be about 5 minutes, and that's all. We shouldn't have these long, drawn-out prayers. So, people have their issues. And I remember it was then we moved here to Mission Viejo. It's exactly 19 years. It's our anniversary of coming into California. Not to Mission Viejo, but to California. We were staying at my parents' house for 4 months until we finally, till November, until we moved actually into Mission Viejo. We started our programming, we started visiting people, and so it's 19 years, which means we went to California exactly 1 year after the Rebbe passed away. And so on the anniversary of the Rebbe's passing, we just Bassie and I, looking at each other. Like, who are we going to sit with? Who are we going to share this moment with? We had no one to share the moment with. And it felt very lonely. I mean, there were lonely moments, but there were certain things, like everybody knows Hanukkah. So you want to share with them about Hanukkah? Okay. It was, we did Hanukkah in the mall. We did other things. Passover, people know about Passover, but there were certain holidays nobody knew about. When those holidays would come, we kind of felt a little bit out of it. But when it came to the Rebbe, it was almost like, can't even talk about it. Many people didn't know, and some who did know, it was kind of taboo, keep it out. And so it really is wonderful and amazing that today we could be sitting around. You probably know the stories better than I do. If you read it nice and slowly, and you have a good memory, then you remember the stories, and it's a very different. We're in a very, very different place, and it's very, very beautiful because the Rebbe had so much to offer to the world, and has so much to offer to the world currently, and people just, weren't available or weren't able to hear what the Rebbe had to say. So it's really a beautiful thing that we just have this book that gives us an insight and open for the first time, gives people easy access to the Rebbe. Very easy access, very readable, very understandable, and he even makes it enjoyable. It's really a good read, an enjoyable read, and also he makes sense out of a lot of things that are many times hard to understand. And so I think on that scale, I give him 2 thumbs up on the book. However, after reading the book, one of the things that I came away with was, it's amazing. This is not a small book. It's quite a big book. And there's so much that's not in the book. The book is like, and by the way, I bought, there are another 2 books that came out around the same time. And that is from Rabbi Steinsaltz and from a rabbi by the name of Chaim Miller. So I got all 3 in the house. And I haven't gone through all of them thoroughly because limited amount of time. And Telushkin was the first one we were going to tackle. But all the books together can't possibly contain it. It's so hard to contain this thing called Rebbe, or this person called Rebbe, or this idea. So I thought to share a few personal anecdotes and personal stories, and also to kind of share with you some some thoughts and some ideas, and then get your questions, your thoughts on the book, your favorite stories, or things that made an impact on you. And that is, was the Rebbe an optimist?
The way the book is written, yes.
Comes across that the Rebbe was an optimist?
Yes.
Was the Rebbe a pessimist?
No.
Was the Rebbe a realist?
Yes. I'm not sure.
The Rebbe was such a realist. More realistic than most people. And the reason is because in order to be a realist, you have to really know. Most people don't know. So therefore, you have an opinion about something. Most people have very strong opinions about things they know very little about.
Jimmy, what would you call to know? What do you mean by know?
Enough information. Enough information. So someone who is an expert in a field, he knows the subject, he knows the field. So for example, someone who doesn't know about military, doesn't understand economy, doesn't understand population, doesn't understand global issues. So you have an opinion. Your opinion is based on what you heard from somebody, what you saw on television or so on. Really, your opinion is not a real opinion. Unless you're a think tank person, you've thought this whole thing through, and even then, there are very few people that knew so much about so many things. The Rebbe didn't just know a lot. You know, when I got my rabbinical ordination from two great rabbis. The reason I got it from two great rabbis is because midway through my ordination, one of them passed away. Now these two rabbis were they were friends in yeshiva in Poland. There was a very, very famous rabbi in Poland. His name was Rabbi Shapiro. And this Rabbi Shapiro was the one who started the Daf Yomi program, which is studying the Talmud one page a day. He was a magnificent scholar, well known. His students, he had a few magnificent students, and almost all of them became Chabad Hasidim. And two of them became Rosh Yeshivas, became heads of the yeshiva, and two of them were the ones who gave me my smicha, my ordination. The first one was Rabbi Karski of blessed memory, and the second one was Rabbi Hirschsprung of blessed memory. And both of these men, if you were in Rabbi Shapiro's yeshiva, meant you were a Talmudic scholar. You virtually knew the whole Talmud by heart in order to be in his yeshiva. I mean, this rabbi was a big rabbi, and his students were big students. And the reason these people, these students, these great scholars, became the Rebbe's adherents was because they simply were impressed by how much the Rebbe knew. Now, Rabbi Hirschsprung, who was the one who finally gave me this smicha, Rabbi Hirschsprung had a photographic memory. So the kids in yeshiva, they would always play these games. They would find these ripped pieces of the Talmud, like a little tiny corner. They would bring it to him, and they would say, which page is this from? He knew exactly what page it was from. He had the entire page by page of the Talmud committed to memory. He remembered every single page what it looked like. In the yeshivas, they used to talk about the pin test. That they would stick a pin through the book, and the scholar could tell you every single word that was pierced all the way through the book. That is the kind of mind these people had. So Rabbi Hirschsprung was a photographic memory. So I met him the first time I met him in Australia. He had come to Australia because they were having a grand symposium of the study of the Talmud. And he being the student of Rabbi Shapiro who started this study of the Talmud, this daily study, they invited him to come and speak. So when he came to our yeshiva to talk to the yeshiva students. And while he was there, he was giving a little speech to us, a little talk about the Talmud. And one of the students raised his hand, who himself was a very smart student, and he said, but it says in this place, the opposite of what you just said, Rabbi. And so the rabbi stops for a moment, and you could see going through the entire book. This is a very fat book. No, it's not there. And the student said, you're right. I apologize. It was you're right. It was in a different tractate. I just watched this, in front of my eyes. It was just incredible. Also, the way he spoke, he couldn't get the words out fast enough. He just couldn't get it out fast enough. Now, what's wonderful about him was he was great he was the best tester for rabbinic ordination. Because all he had to do was start saying the answer, he would take over. He just couldn't, he just was just coming out of his head so fast. That's like he would talk. Just talking so fast. Well, when he met the Rebbe, he was blown away. Because obviously he knew the Talmud by heart. And not only the Talmud, but all the commentaries, and the other books of the Talmud, and all the other books of the oral Torah by heart, because he just read them once and that's it. It was in his head. He could pull it up by page at any time he wanted. Search engines before there were search engines. And when he spoke to the Rebbe, number one, the Rebbe never got excited when he would talk. He would get excited. His brain would go flying back and forth in his head, but the Rebbe was just calm. See, that impressed him already. How do you stay so calm when we're flying around the whole Talmud? And the other thing was, he knew the Talmud inside out. He had memorized it. But could he give you a dissertation on each page of the Talmud? No, on a few. The Rebbe could give you a dissertation on every single piece. That was mind-blowing. To not only have a memory of it all, but to be an expert in it all, now that's something very different. Now, people thought, okay, he's a scholar in Talmud. When a law professor would go in, he was a professor in constitutional law. He walked out and he says, "Did the Rebbe ever take constitutional law in America? Was he a professor? I thought I was talking to a professor." When the fellow who was a refusnik in Russia came to America, and the Rebbe helped him get started with the Shamir project in Russia, in Israel. So the Rebbe asked him that whenever he comes to America, he should give his dissertations to the Rebbe. Now this was hydrothermal dynamics. And he had this 2-hour presentation. The Rebbe said, just tell it to me. Rebbe, you have nothing better to do. So he said, fine. He'll give him a 20-minute synopsis of it. So he's like condensing 2 hours of lectures he's going to be giving to professors of hydrothermodynamics. And now he's talking to the Rebbe, and he's just giving it to him in a 20-minute digest. When he's done, the Rebbe says, your numbers are off. So he says to the Rebbe, thank you very much, but this has already been gone. We already said it through the computer. We already spent 6 months on it. The Rebbe says, listen, you're the expert, but I'm telling you, you're off. The numbers are off. It took him 2 years to find the mistake. And they were off, and the numbers actually made a difference in the application of it. So we're not talking about a person who just knows things, but had this keen insight into everything. And therefore, the Rebbe understood. When he saw what was going on in Iran, the Rebbe saw radical Islam. He saw the whole thing unfolding. He saw what's going to happen today. When what was going on in Israel, when Israel won the 6-Day War, and they actually suggested to give it back, to give it away, the Rebbe said, let me tell you what's going to happen in 50 years from now. For the next 50 years, if you do this, don't do it. Don't do it. So the Rebbe was the most realistic person because he had all the facts. He had not only the facts, but he had the insight to understanding it. The Rebbe was so realistic, it literally turned him white. The Rebbe was so affected by what he saw with his own eyes that the Rebbe actually turned white. Well, literally overnight, when certain things happened and he saw the devastation that was going to happen in the future, the Rebbe was just turned white. So he wasn't a pessimist, he was an absolute realist. On the other hand, the Rebbe there was nobody so optimistic. And you would think that if you're so realistic and you so understand, you so see everything, you become cynical, you throw your hands up in the air and you say, you know what, You know where this earth is going? It's going there really fast in a handbasket, and you just throw your hands up and you just give up. You just sit and you become depressed, and you sit in a corner, and you just wait till the sky falls down. The Rebbe, when we were in the Rebbe's presence, being in the Rebbe's presence, I was absolutely certain that Mashiach is walking in the door any second. The way the Rebbe was talking about Mashiach's imminent arrival, because when the Rebbe spoke, he spoke with such conviction, such passion, and such clarity and conviction. I'm telling you, we were sure he was just going to walk right in the door. The Rebbe had that way of saying that the future is bright, the future is beautiful, the world is beautiful, the world is great. And the Rebbe believed in each person. The Rebbe believed in people. Now, I believe in people because I don't know them. Once I know them, I don't believe in them anymore. Once you get to know people, you go, oh, gosh, another one. Forget about it. I'm not going to get anywhere like this. It's hard to soar like eagle when you're flying with a bunch of turkeys, right? The Rebbe was this giant, this visionary, this utopian vision seer. And he's looking around going, is there anybody home? Anybody to talk to? Nobody to talk to. A bunch of turkeys, or worse than turkeys. I mean, there's nobody to talk to. Now, it's one thing if you're not such a great person, so you find people that are like you. But when you're up there, it's like, that the Rebbe wasn't absolutely, completely despondent and depressed and give up on this world, to me, it's a miracle. Because the Rebbe was not really an optimist, as much as he was a possibilist. Possibilist. The Rebbe saw the possibility. Although the Rebbe was a realist and he saw the reality of the world, the reality of people, the Rebbe knew and he could see through it. The Rebbe saw the possibility. The Rebbe saw who you really were, not how you were acting. The Rebbe saw how the world could be, not how the world was. And the Rebbe saw the possibility, and the Rebbe said, if it's possible, then let's do it. If it's possible, let's do it. And that frustrated the Rebbe. When he saw someone, and he saw it was possible, and you couldn't see that it was possible, that frustrated him. If it's impossible, then it's impossible. But if it's possible, and you think it's impossible, boy, you get involved. When you're limiting yourself, when you're getting in your own way, when the world is getting in its own way, and we have the possibility, that is a tragedy. That is a tragedy. And that's why the Rebbe gave his heart and soul and everything he had to try to get us to see the possibility. So the Rebbe saw the possibility. So take it to there are certain things that the Rebbe stands out like no other leader in the history of Judaism. I mean, in the history of Judaism, there was no rabbi who had such a organization with satellites and with centers all over the world the way the Rebbe had. It never happened in history. For a very good reason, because history had changed. So it's not that others wouldn't have done it, but just the possibility wasn't around. The Rebbe was one of the first, maybe the only leader who believed that we have to go out and reach out to the non-Jews. The Rebbe wanted that every single government of the world should proclaim the 7 laws of Noah as the moral code, the universal moral code. I don't know of any other leader that tried to get kings or whatever was the monarchs of the time to accept those things. And one more thing was that no other leader set their entire agenda, set their success mark of how to measure the success of their work by setting the bar so high. most people, what'll be success? You have an organization or a group, a movement called Chabad, which was devastated by the Holocaust and devastated by the communists, and you're going to rebuild it in America. Success. You're going to go take that small group that's now reviving itself, and you're going to then send them out and open up centers around the world. Success. That was not the Rebbe's agenda. Although the Rebbe did all those things, it wasn't the Rebbe's agenda. The Rebbe had one agenda, and that was bring Mashiach. Mashiach. No one's ever done it before. Never been done before. The Rebbe saw the possibility. The Rebbe saw it was possible. If it's possible, then why don't we do it? Why? What are we waiting for? So the Rebbe was a possibilist. The Rebbe knew the end of the story, by the way. That's why the Rebbe was not so much an optimist as much as he was, again, a realist. The Rebbe knew the end of the story. The end of the story is Mashiach is going to come. The end of the story is God is going to protect his people. The end of the story is Israel will be safe. That's the end of the story. But why, if we could end the story today, if we could make that one less person should die in the world, in Israel, anywhere, one person sooner, one moment sooner, then what are we waiting for? That was what the Rebbe gave us. That's what the Rebbe said in... the Rebbe knew he wasn't going to live forever. Although he hoped that he was going to live forever. He hoped that we would get the message and we would bring Mashiach and then he wouldn't have to die. He was hoping that was going to happen. He prayed it was going to happen. He begged that it was going to happen. But the Rebbe also was a realist. And the Rebbe made preparations. The Rebbe prepared, cleaned up his room, made a will, did all the things that you would do in preparation. All those things. And the Rebbe even spoke to the Hasidim and he said, I've done everything I can. I now give it to you. What does that mean? You tried for so many years. You tried so hard, and we failed. Now you're going to give it to us? To the losers? To the failures? You're going to give it to us? The Rebbe was saying, yes. I'm going to infect you now. I'm now going to make it contagious. Now you're going to be infected with it, and now you're not going to be able to sleep. For 45 years, I couldn't sleep. Now I'm going to make it that you can't sleep. Now I'm going to give it to you, and I'm going to make it your problem. I tried. I tried to explain to you that it is our duty. It is our opportunity. We could make it happen. And that's what the Rebbe has done. 20 years later, the Rebbe passed away. And I can tell you one thing, and Bassie mentioned it when she read the book, and I'll tell you, I'm reading the book myself. I feel like the Rebbe is talking to me and saying, you're not doing enough. Not that you're not doing enough. You're selling yourself short. You're selling the world short. You think they won't accept it. You think they won't listen. You think they're not ready. You think you're not ready. You think you don't know enough. You give yourself all sorts of excuses. They're just excuses. Just excuses. You can do it. It's possible. It's possible. And if it's possible, you're going to hit yourself and go, what? Can't believe it. Can't believe it. I could have done it. And nobody was even stopping me. It's like you think to yourself, walk around with a yarmulke and mission Viejo. You know what they're going to say? You know what my colleagues are going to do? You know what's going to happen to me? Then you wear it and nobody says anything. You're like, so why was I so concerned? What was I so worried about? I didn't say what I needed to say. I didn't do what I needed to do because I was afraid of this one. I was afraid of that one. I was afraid of myself. And that's what the Rebbe said. You see the possibility. See what I see. See the possibility. And so, I think for all of us, when we read the book, I think that it impacts us. I think when we read it, we get impacted by it. In some way, everybody in their own way. Obviously, Bassie and I dedicated our life to Rebbe's mission. So, okay, we'll move out and spend the rest of our life doing this. But the Rebbe believed that, why would we do it? Why would Bassie and I, just regular people, why would we pick up the call? Why would we do it? Did he have any magic over us? By the way, he did. He did have magic. Not magic, he had prophecy. I'll tell you a quick story that happened with me. This was, I had spent 2.5 years in Australia when I was 19 through 21. And while I was there, I felt a tremendous responsibility to dedicate my life to this. I was being sent there on a remote mission, remote assignment. So I was going to dedicate my life to this. And I did. There were some days that I was literally from 6 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock at night, even my lunch break and my supper break, I was studying with someone. I was teaching someone, or teaching myself, or studying. It was just, I don't know where I found it within myself to do this, but I remember when I got off that plane and I arrived in Australia, I said, you know what? Right now I'm excited about this. I'm going to fill my day timer, I'm going to fill my calendar with so many commitments, then I'll be able to do what I pledged to do in these 2 years. Well, by the time 2.5 years were up, I was done. I felt like I had been squeezed of every bit I could possibly donate and find time, and I was like, you know what? I just need some time for myself. I didn't want to hear about any volunteering. I didn't want to hear about anything. I felt like I had given 2.5 years of my life, and I am done. Now, I had wonderful 2.5 years. They were some of the best 2.5 years of my life. It was wonderful. It was really, really great, but enough is enough, and I just couldn't do even a bit more. And so it was Rosh Hashanah time, and they said, who wants to go and visit the old age homes and go blow shofar for the people? I said, don't count on me. Okay, I did that already. I spent Passover in a mental institution, to do Passover for the Jewish inmates at a mental hospital. I mean, I've been there. I've done it. I'm done. Came Sukkot, and my classmates started saying to me, "Hey, we need you to go to the Catskills to go and help, and the Rebbe wants us to go and bring joy to the communities in the Catskills." And we set it up, and we got a car. We rented a car, and we want you to come along. I said, "Not a chance. I'm not going. I got to study. I give it up so much of my time. I need to study for myself a little bit. I need to have some time for myself." Well, every night of Sukkot, the Rebbe would talk. Right after the evening service, he would speak, and then everybody would go home. So the way it works is, the first night of Yom Tov, it's Yom Tov. The second night is Yom Tov. The third night, it's already not Yom Tov anymore. They do the Havdalah, then they bring out the microphone, and the Rebbe speaks, now everybody can hear him. The first 2 nights, only those up really up front could hear what the Rebbe was saying. Okay, so I'm standing in the back next to my friend. His name is Yaakov Wolf. 2 of us are standing together, and we were good friends because both of us dug in our heels, and we said we're not going. Okay, so 2 of us are, kind of listening to the Rebbe talk, and it's a very nice talk, and the Rebbe's encouraging people to go out and go bring this joy to other communities and so on, and my friend is looking at me going, "See, the Rebbe's saying you should go," and I'm going, "Come on, leave me alone, don't bother me, Fine, I did my time, the Rebbe's talking, but he's talking to other people, okay? He's not talking to me, okay? Fine. And then the Rebbe continues and he says, "There stands a Jew by the name of Reb Zalman. And he says, I'm not going to go. I would rather go and study. And then there is a Jew by the name of Rabbi Yaakov. And he also says the same thing." Like everybody there, I turned red like I'm My friend is going, he's like jumping for joy. Yossi Jacobson, oh my gosh, he was jumping for joy. He was so excited. Couldn't believe it. I was just poke me right in the, what do you mean you're not going? Now, it turns out that the the night of, every night of Sukkot, there are guests that come to the Sukkot. So Abraham is the first night, Yitzchak is the second night, Yaakov is the third night. And we also have the Hasidic guests that come. The first night is the Baal Shem Tov. His name was Yisrael Baal Shem Tov. The second night is the Mezritcher Maggid Dov Ber of Mezrich. And then the third night is the Alter Rebbe, Rebbe Shneur Zalman. So the Rebbe was kind of, just using the names of the nights. But Rebbe Zalman and Rebbe Yaakov, and I checked into this, never did the Rebbe ever say it before, nor did he ever say it again after. Just on that night, he said, Rebbe Zalman and Rebbe Yaakov are standing there and giving me Now, why would you use the names of the holy people, the Alter Rebbe? Why would you use his name as an example of a Jew who doesn't want to go? Why would you use Jacob as an example of the name? Unless you're talking about me and my friend there. So that was a aha moment for me to, again, there were thousands of people standing there in the room. Only 10 of us knew exactly what happened there. Everybody else just thought the Rebbe was talking about Zalman and Rabbi Yaakov, just using two simple names as an example. So, but even so, that we would dedicate our lives to this. Not everybody in Chabad did it, not everybody in the world did it. But the Rebbe believed that each one of us, deep down, this is what we want to do. The Rebbe was just tapping into. He was just digging through all the external part of you, getting to your essence and going, that's like what you want to do. The Rebbe didn't want us to do it because he said to do it. He wanted to do it because that's really who we were and what we wanted to do. And that's exactly what happened. And so I think by reading the book and by getting to know the Rebbe through his, by the way, when you read the book, this is Joseph Telushkin's view of the Rebbe. That's his personal view. He spent hours and hours. If you spent the same amount of hours that he did, you would write a totally different book. Each person will see a different angle, and the reason is because the Rebbe was not a private person. The Rebbe didn't have a private soul. The Rebbe had a collective soul. Very similar to Moses. How is it that Moses, it's now thousands of years since Moses has passed away, and yet everybody could read the Torah, and it resonates with them? How is it? The answer is because Moses is a collective soul. He's not a private soul. He's a collective soul. And that's why everyone will read it, and everyone will resonate with them in their own way. No two people read the Torah the same way. And the same thing is true of the Rebbe's teachings. The Rebbe touches each person in their own way, and therefore everyone reacts to it in their own way. And so I would strongly encourage, obviously, when you're through reading the book, that it should inspire you to study more of the Rebbe's teachings, so that you can make your own biography or your own understanding of what it was. If you know anything about the biographies of the Rebbe, they were very, very hard to write. And the reason is because the Rebbe did not speak about himself. We do not know what was going on inside the Rebbe's head. He did not have a confidant that he shared with that is available for us to talk to. He didn't leave any writings. Everything, the Rebbe's life was dedicated to community. It's not that he was hiding anything. He didn't have another life. His father-in-law writes to him in letters. I beg you, please. He's writing to him from Latvia. He's writing to him in Paris. And he's saying to him, or Berlin, please tell me what's going on in your life. What's going on? And the Rebbe says, I have nothing to report. There's nothing going on. I mean nothing going on. He was in Berlin. He was with the greatest professors of the time, the greatest minds. Berlin is where everything was happening. Paris is where everything was happening. It was things to be done. There were things to do. That's the Rebbe. He never took a vacation, never took a day off. Didn't have a personal life. His personal life was his dedication to his wife, where he would spend a half hour a day with her. They would sip tea together and have talks together. That's it. Otherwise, there was no personal time. Rebbe was just a collective person. So each one of us should go in, kind of dig into it and find ourselves in it. That's what the Rebbe believed. If we just could get to the inside of each person, like an atom. The Rebbe saw the atom as when you split the atom, something so small, just have to open it, and the amount of energy that there is inside of it. And the same thing, each one of us. If we could just find that inside of us, open it up, you will expand to a place you couldn't believe you could reach. The Rebbe believed you could reach it, as the Rebbe was the ultimate possibilist. He saw the possibility of Mashiach, saw the possibility of each one of us. So at this time we'll kind of open it up for some Q&A, some questions and answers. If you have any specific questions about the book that you read, or stories that you read in the book, or just stories you heard in general, just questions you have in general, you can throw them at me at this time. Yes?
Okay. My question is, when in New York, where he, in the synagogue, it was huge and all these people, was it a regular synagogue or was it like a Chabad center? Because I thought the regular rabbis were kind of pushed away, the Chabad movement. So, you understand?
Who actually showed up?
What?
Who was actually there?
Well, no, it was people who wanted to hear him, but how did he get access to a place so large in the Jewish community where weren't the regular rabbis afraid of the Chabad movement, the conservative, the reformed and all, the regular?
Well, again, Chabad began in the 1940s when the previous Rebbe came to America. And when he came to America, his initial goal was to send out as many of his students to go and help the Jewish community in America and in Canada. When the Rebbe became the Rebbe in 1950, so you have these, Crown Heights was kind of the center of the Jewish world at that time. Brownsville and East New York, this was a very, very Jewish area. Bedford-Stuyvesant, in the late 50s and early 60s, the community started to change, and then Jews, ran in every direction, and it was only the Chabad that stayed. And actually, I just read a letter last night. I forget which president it was that honored the Rebbe and recognized the Rebbe for staying in Crown Heights. That they saw that as a great moment of leadership of the Rebbe, that the Rebbe stayed in Crown Heights and refused to run, like others who weren't really such great leaders who ran. So the community was changing, but this was a very, very concentrated area, and as the Chabad community was coming out of Russia, they were moving to Crown Heights, others were becoming part of that community, and the Rebbe, instead of being concerned with building his own community, as the other Chabad, the other Hasidic leaders were, or other communities were, the Rebbe was sending everyone who was willing and anyone who was capable, sending him out somewhere else. So the Rebbe was hoping that he was going to have nobody around him. He wanted to show up on Shabbos and nobody there. He wanted everybody out. And the Rebbe said that eventually Crown Heights will be a great community, but the Rebbe was not concerned about building up his own synagogue. As a matter of fact, the Rebbe's synagogue looked like a train station. It was not beautiful. It was not. There were beams and all throughout it. This was it was a basement. I mean, this was not. And they tried so many times to try to rebuild it and try to make it nicer and so on. The Rebbe was like, we got bigger things to worry about. We're not building this. We're building everywhere else. So you want to do a gorgeous Chabad center outside of New York. You figure, wow, we're going to go to the headquarters. That's going to be really grand. You come there and you go, this. The Rebbe in here with the linoleum tiles on the floor, with the cheap paneling on the walls and these beams like a train station. It literally looks like a train station with brown benches. As a matter of fact, the Rebbe was very concerned about safety. By the way, there was a architect who came by and gave these plans and said he could figure out how to remove all the beams. By placing these large, huge cross beams across the top, he could eliminate, because there's an apartment building up on top. He said he could eliminate it. The Rebbe said to him, your calculations are correct, except you don't know what goes on here. please be here on Simchas Torah 1 year, and then you'll tell me afterwards if you think we could do it. And that architect came, and he saw the place was, 10,000 people jammed into this place. That's the men downstairs. That's not talking about the women up on top. Jammed in there, and then the Rebbe would come in, the place would split, the Rebbe would walk through. How the Rebbe got through there, I don't know. How the place split was a miracle. And then when the Rebbe would start, the place would bounce. They were bouncing, and the guy realized that the whole building would collapse if they had a beam across. So the Rebbe was right. Can't do it that way. And when they wanted to do renovations, the Rebbe said, we can't close the synagogue for 1 minute. You're going to have to renovate the whole place without closing my synagogue, because this synagogue never closes. I'm supposed to do that. I'm supposed to work, or, So the Rebbe made it virtually impossible for them to really renovate it. But the Rebbe wanted, and the reason was because the Rebbe was concerned about everybody else. What happens around him, not so important. Any other
It's
questions?
interesting in the book when they wanted to build a monument for the Holocaust, and he poo-pooed it. He says, I don't want the money to go there. I want you to spend it on give to others.
The Rebbe and the Holocaust, although the Rebbe spoke a lot about it, and the Rebbe obviously himself was affected by it, his brother-in-law and sister-in-law perished there. The Rebbe believed very strongly that we shouldn't dwell on the past. We need to focus on the future. And so whenever people would come with projects, the Rebbe would say, one second, if you could give a child a Jewish education versus building something to commemorate the past, there's no question what's more important. Let's go give that child that Jewish education, or let's move it forward, and then when we have extra money, then we'll make monuments to the past. So it wasn't that the Rebbe didn't think that monuments were important. He just felt that, we've got a triage over here, and we've got so many children who, unfortunately, if we don't catch them now, generations are lost. But if we catch them now, generations go forward. Yes.
What was his feeling about assimilation?
The Rebbe felt, obviously, that every child that assimilates is a child that wasn't given an opportunity to recognize and realize their own heritage and who they really are. So the Rebbe was was working literally day and night. That was the focus of his mission, was to reach and touch every single Jew before it's too late. On a Thursday night we had Rabbi Groner, who spoke in Irvine, and he shared a story that I remember hearing as a child. It was a very famous story. It was just before Passover, and the Rebbe calls in Rabbi Groner and says to him, go call up the Chabad rabbi in some city in Europe and tell him that he has to go to this and this city, and he'll know what to do when he gets there. He calls up the Chabad rabbi, and the Chabad rabbi says, I'm sorry, but I got 400 people coming tomorrow night for the Seder. I can't go running to a city over there. He said, listen, the Rebbe said you got to go. Okay, so he went. What am I supposed to do there? The Rebbe said, you'll figure it out when you get there. When he gets there, he figures he has to meet a Jewish person. So he says, okay, are there any Jewish people in here? No Jews living here. The Rebbe sent me here, there's got to be a Jew here. So he tries everywhere. Everyone says there's no Jews living in this city. So he goes to the gas station to fill up on his way out of town, and he's standing there, so he meets somebody. He says, excuse me, but I've tried everybody, but maybe. Is there any Jewish people living here? He says, yeah, the butcher. This and this place, I'm pretty sure he's Jewish. Okay. He runs over there, goes to the butcher store, he comes in, and the butcher faints as he comes in the door. But he didn't think it looked that scary, so he goes over and he kind of brings him back, and he said, what's going on? Oh, you sit down, I got to tell you the story. He says, our family, we've been living here, we're the only Jews in this town, and we're isolated, we're lonely, and the local community here has embraced us, and they're not Jewish, and they've been kind of encouraging us that we should join their group. And I had to talk with the pastor, and he said, your people have abandoned you. Your God has abandoned you. You have to join our group. And so I said, you know what? Give me a week. Give me a week. Fine. And so he kind of sat down, he kind of wrote God a letter in his head. And he said, the guys, listen, we are alone, makes a good point. If I don't get a message, some kind of a sign from you in this week, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna bail. And so this was 6 o'clock last Thursday, and in 15 minutes, it's now 5:45. That's when my week was up. And so at 5:30. I had already given up. I said, it's already 5:30. It's over. I mean, it's only a matter of a few minutes. How am I going to get a sign in the last half hour here? You guys hasn't shown me any sign, and I was already, and I felt terrible, but I felt like God was giving me a sign. This is where I have to go. And then you walked in the door. I couldn't contain myself, and I just passed out. And so he invited the family over to his house for Passover, and then slowly but surely, years later, when the Chabad Rabbi was in Israel, he bumps into the fellow. He says, "Excuse me, do you recognize me? Do you remember who I am?" He says, "No, who are you?" He says, "Remember me? I was the guy, I'm the butcher." Now he had a full beard and the payas and the tzitzis and the whole thing, because he said, "Listen, I can't live in this community over here," and he moved to Israel. And so here the Rebbe is sitting in Brooklyn, and all of a sudden he goes, "Uh-oh, there's someone in trouble over there. Okay, let me send somebody over there. Okay, you over there. Go over there. I'm not really sure what the problem is. I just know that there's somebody there in distress. So go there. I can't tell you what the instructions are. Just go there." So the Rebbe was absolutely concerned about every single neshama, every single Jew. There's a great story. I can't remember. When we read so many books, I'm not sure if it's this one or that one. But there's a famous story of this. The Rebbe would send these roving rabbis, as they're called. And they still do it today. There's 600 roving rabbis out there right now, visiting communities that don't have a full-time Chabad, or even that full-time, but going to visit every single Jew. And so they went to this little island somewhere, and they found this one Jew over there, and they brought him some Judaism. And so he wrote a letter thanking the Rebbe for sending these roving rabbis. And he wrote, and he signed off, "A small Jew in this place." The Rebbe wrote, "Circle small." The Rebbe said, "No such thing." The Rebbe saw each one of us as a diamond. So everyone is a diamond. And the Rebbe believed that a diamond is never lost. You're not really assimilated, you're just covered. And so all you need to do is uncover that cover, and then the diamond shines once again. Any other questions? Yes?
Or a comment. I think I'm just struck so much by how it was Telushkin's task, or his mission in some way, to write this book, to communicate. And just as the Rebbe believed that, to pass it on, how much has already, I'm only 37% through the book, and yet there must be 50 different times in the last week that I've started reading it, that something will come to me that will change my behavior, or that will make me think in a different way about myself, about what I need to be doing, and just how the influence just spreads in the way that it needs to be, because I then bring it to other people, and then it goes from there. It's remarkable.
Yeah, it's really remarkable. Another aspect, and that is how the Rebbe was the ultimate. He wasn't a micromanager. Although he cared about every micro detail, the Rebbe believed much more in freeing the person to go and do. Very similar in the Google model, right? So Google gives their employees, I think it's 20% of their time, to just do whatever they want. And out of that 20% of the time, like Gmail is a result of one of those things. And many of their innovations came from that 20%. And the Rebbe was very much into that. Believe in the individual. Go. And so the Rebbe really opened it up. I mean, there's a famous line of the Rebbe to Rabbi Sudak of blessed memory. He was the head rabbi, Chabad rabbi in England. He recently passed away. And so he was sent to England. He asked the Rebbe, "So tell me what to do." The Rebbe said, "I'm not going to tell you what to do. There are thousands of things to do. You figure out what you need to do. Meaning, do them all, but do them in an orderly fashion." Do you have any other questions? Because I'd like to show the video so we can end by 9 o'clock. So we can have, I'm not even going to hit the lights so we can get this video going. And if you want to stay afterwards, by the way, for some more questions, I'm more than happy to stick around.